Good morning, friends. It's good to be here this morning. Thanks for joining us here at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. I am Michael. I'm going to be taking us through a bit of shared breath work, some contemplation on some ideas, and we'll probably get to a couple of poems this morning. Actually, I know we will. So let's settle in together. I am very, very happy to be here today. Yeah. This morning I wasn't so thrilled to be in my body. I wasn't so thrilled to with the feelings that I was having, that I was carrying this morning. And it's taken a little bit of work today. And I think that's why I'm coming to the place where I am now, as opposed to 3 hours ago. I have this really deeply rooted sense of gratitude and I can just feel it moving through my body. Whatever the pathology we would like to give to this sensation. Let's bring that up there. There we go. I think that what we would probably call this is anxiety. This would be the word we would use to relay it to one another, but there's something rich and complex, layers upon layers and sort of marbling. There's a marbling, like a cake or a fine piece of beef. There's a marbling of experiences that all kind of get lumped into that one word, anxiety. But I think if we have the capacity to take our time with it, and that capacity has to include the feelings of safety in the discomfort, which is difficult for some of us. Probably difficult for all of us at any given moment, depending on our circumstances at the time. But if we have that capacity, we can start to see the layerings of the emotions and the stories connected. But to begin there is really difficult. So let's begin with the breath. Just a few breaths to find where we are today. Taking just a few moments to savor the richness of your breath. It's there's so much happening with just that breath. It's so much more than just a utilitarian function of our body. There's worlds opening and closing and cooperating and resisting and all of these things that are occurring inside of us at any moment. These vast ecosystems of emotions and memories and mythologies, all sort of colliding to create this lump of clay and bone that just holds water. That's what we do. We are just walking around holding water until we're done, and then we give it all back. Well, let's take a few breaths together. I'm going to invite the bell. Breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And letting it all go. Take a second just to feel into your posture, bringing your shoulder blades together just a touch in the back, and bringing your spine as erect as you can, relaxing your eyes and your cheeks and your neck, breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And release. Feel for your places of tightness or holding or resistance, or also your places of openness. See where you might be open that might be a surprise to you. And just might be something you weren't expecting. Breathing in through the nose. Letting go. What has opened, at least into your awareness? Just spend a few moments seeing what it is that light of awareness has shown. I think when I arose this morning, I felt exhausted. I'm going to take these off. There was a level of exhaustion that was unexpected because I went to bed early and I slept mostly through the night, and I had not allowed myself to be okay with carrying a burden. There was some part of me that was wanting to think, no, I let it go when it comes in, but it's not true. As much as we practice these things, there's still tendencies that we have to compartmentalize or to trick ourselves into certain beliefs about our capacity. And I'm recognizing today that I'm forgetting to tend to things. Rationalizing them, working them out in my mind, that's one thing. I can do that. I can go to the mental space and I can justify or rationalize or whatever it is that I need to do. But in the body and in the emotional landscape, there's still a tendency that I have to try to boss my emotions around. Right. There's this leaning towards the mental powers, mind over matter, this kind of idea. And I'm finding that doesn't really exist for me. I'm finding I can be very good at it. I can be skilled. I can be practiced. I can rehearse and I can learn my lines. But at the end of the day, what I'm carrying is still in me. And it can't necessarily be just about not carrying it. Maybe it has to come down to the way in which we carry it. Mary Oliver has a poem about this, and I'm thinking now that maybe I should look that up and read that this morning. But she talks about it's not so much what you're carrying, but the way in which you carry it. I've talked about this a lot on the meditations over the years, um, because I learned this living on the ground in a tent in a teepee with other folks year round, and we had to. We didn't have to. We were in the relationship with the land that we lived, that we could gather the firewood that we need just by walking on foot and using a bow saw, a non-powered saw. And you really build relationship and come into relationship with the spaces that you're in when you live this way, because you have to walk softly and slowly and pay attention, and you can start to learn to read the trees for which one of these trees are offering up, already dry wood that wouldn't cause harm to gather this wood. And but then you had to bring it back. And sometimes, you get to walking out in the wood and walking through these places. You're walking along creeks. You find these pathways that the deer have already made, so you start to go down them. And then you find yourself quite a distance from the village, quite a distance. And then you see it, this beautiful cigar-shaped, 30-foot tall, dead standing oak tree, right? That's perfect. It's been standing there dead, waiting for you specifically, for 10 years, whatever it is. And you fell this tree, and then you put it over your shoulder and you start to carry it back, and you recognize, I'm carrying a 30-foot long oak log. But if I find just the right place to balance it onto my body, it's like it's not there. The weight perfectly carries, and you can just move through, gliding, really, carrying this impossible weight. If I were to pick it up from the front and drag it from behind, it would be such a burden. And if I were to take it from the back and try to carry it in the front, I'd be straining my lower back, lifting this weight. I could muck it all up and be out there for hours trying to find ways and clearing trail with my saw to make it so I could drag this through, or I could just simply learn how to carry it with balance and then move in balance. And that's what you learn how to do when you're living out there. It's what you learn. You learn how to carry things. And in some ways, I have forgotten. We forget. That's what we do. We are creatures of remembering, and there's beauty in that remembering. I wrote a prayer once where I talked about forgetting the name of the beloved just to remember it, because the remembering is just as sweet, maybe sweeter than the knowing. The remembering, that's the life comes back into something when you remember. So waking this morning, having carried this pit of knot in my stomach for a couple of days, I recognize that I'm not going to be able to sleep this one off, and I'm not going to be able to make a healthy dinner and get this to subside, and I'm not going to be able to lie on my Shakti mat to take it away, or to do some Qigong and move my body. I can do all of these things, and they're wonderful things, but this is something that cannot be worked around, and it cannot be pushed out. These things inside of us, they can't be pushed out. We can try that, but the more we try going around something, we just end up in loops, pushing it out or just trying to get around it entirely. And when we sit with it, we say, hey, what is this? What's happening here? Because it doesn't feel good. What is the feeling? We can describe it by what it's not. It's not good. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. But what is it? And in that sitting and asking, in that curiosity, we can come into relation. Become curious with yourself. Curiosity does not have expectation. It can't. That's investigation. Don't investigate. Just become curious. Ask questions without expected answers. What are you feeling? Where does this feeling begin? How long have you carried this feeling? Are you willing to change this feeling? What would it cost to change the way this feels? When I speak of cost this way, I'm speaking about what would you exchange from your identity with this feeling? Would you be willing to let go of some things you think you know that are related to the way this feels? Would you be willing to be seen as something other than what you would like to be seen as, to open this feeling up? And how willing are you to be open to being wrong, or to, at the very least, being mistaken about what this feeling actually is? Because what if In asking these questions, all of a sudden, this feeling starts to step forward, to be seen in the light. And it doesn't look like what you thought it was. What are you going to do then? A lot of people find methods, and they work for them for some time, sometimes for a long time. Maybe they found their thing. But there always seems to be something that just doesn't quite explain it. Angela picked up a book this weekend. I think it's called Dandelions Growing Through Cracks in the Sidewalk. And I can't recall. I think it's Amita Lamo. I think that's the name of the author. But in this book, I believe it might even be in the introduction, this person's talking about working with their teacher and as a spiritual teacher, talking about, I believe they're talking about their work in psychology or something, like psychoanalysis. I think they're a psychoanalyst or something like this. And they come to a couple of questions, and the teacher's response is, "It seems that you have reached the end of the ability of psychology." And there's something else there. Those aren't the exact words, but it's that idea. Seems like you have reached the end of the ability of psychology. And when I had this feeling this morning, I remember thinking, looks like I have reached the end of the ability of my psychology here. I cannot rationalize this. I cannot pathologize this. I cannot substantiate it. This is a feeling that is not a psychological situation. This is a spiritual feeling. This is a feeling in my entire body, my soul, my physical body. It's enrapturing me because it is a matter that goes beyond rational thought. You have to step into this ethereal relationship with a body that you can't see. There's a body that we carry that also carries wounds. And I've said this many times on this program. I believe that when I'm living in my wound, everything hurts. And when I'm living in my healing, everything is medicine. This is how I have learned to understand what it is I'm working from where I am coming in the moment when I am doing the work. If everything bugs me, if everything is annoying and it's just, I'm irritable, like, this doesn't make sense, this is wrong. If I'm in that place, I'm living in a wound. My work isn't on healing, my work is on festering. My work there is being in this wound. I'm poking at it, I'm pulling scabs, tonguing that sore inside of your mouth, living in the wound. But when I make the decision, the conscious effort to heal the wound and go, hey, you know what? I know that I am not coming about this from a place of strength and health. I can feel that I have an emotional limp, that there's an injury here. There's a wound that I've been carrying that is not allowing me to be equanimous with this feeling. There's something that I am carrying from probably long, long ago that is simply not allowing me to experience this as it is, but only as an exacerbation of a wound, because I already have that wound. That wound is there and it's old and it's long held. And the moment I decide I'm going to start healing, how do I forgive this wound? How do I tend to this wound? How do I love this wound? How do I change my story about this wound? Then things start coming in. Things that would hurt now all of a sudden are little signposts on the pathway saying, hey, this is a boundary. This is a spot. This one hurts. Tender place. You're in a tender place. So tend to it. Being in a tender place doesn't necessarily mean stay away. It means be tender. And be the tender. Get down on your knees in that place. Sit with it. Wash its feet. It's a great lesson in the Bible. It's a great lesson. Wash its feet. Heal the wound. So I tried working through all of that stuff, finding simply that it was not going to be pushed out. So I made myself sit down knowing that I was running late and write a poem. And so I did. And this is a poem for my anxiety. I thought you would leave when I forgot your name, when your hue only stained the basin enough for unclarity, but you were here when I awoke and when I slept, and I swallowed you with dinner as you hid far enough behind each laugh so as to not change its timbre. You are only waiting, not to be overlooked or forgotten, but to be forgiven, and shaken from my body like so many dead leaves. And I finished writing that and I felt a release. Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's just waiting here to be forgiven. You're only waiting. And I wanted to step into one more poem today. I wanted to begin Appalachian Elegy from the beginning by Bell Hooks. And I contemplated not doing this today, but we're going to do it today. This is what we're here to do. So this is Bell Hooks' book, Appalachian Elegy, Poetry in Place. And this is number 1. Hear them cry, the long dead, the long gone, speak to us from beyond the grave. Guide us that we may learn all the ways to hold tender this land. Hard clay dirt, rock upon rock, charred earth, in time strong green growth will rise here. Trees back to life. Native flowers pushing the fragrance of hope. The promise of resurrection. I hadn't read that yet. I hadn't read that yet today. When I decided that I wanted to read this, I just decided we're just going to start from the beginning and it'll be a nice surprise to all of us. And there it is. There's some of the same language, some of the same words. Hold tender this land, hard clay dirt. Pushing the fragrance of hope, the promise of resurrection. Yeah, it's here. It's with us. It's for us. It's by us. It's from us. And somehow that just makes it feel better. I just reading her poem and reading my poem and just knowing that there's another person out here who is not afraid to hope, but doesn't rely upon it. Because hope is not required to know that spring is here. It's back. Okay. Thank you, friends, for being here this morning. Thank you, Bell Hooks. Thank you, Bell Hooks. Thank you, Bell Hooks. She has written so many things that have been so piercing into my armor that I'm very grateful for her work. And I'm excited to have started Appalachian Elegy from the beginning with you all today. We'll be going through at least one of those a day. Thanks for being here this morning. Hari Om.